Hey, everybody, welcome to Looks Good From Here. And this is a show where we talk to designers and educators and creative thinkers shaping what the world looks like and what it really takes to get there. Today, I'm joined by someone who has been shaping Squarespace world for probably about a decade, I think. David Alex is a designer and educator and a creator who has built hundreds of sites, taught thousands of designers, and carved out a space online with his courses, kits, and his content. What I love about Dave is that he blends design and teaching, and he's always breaking things down so simply and accessible and practical, and really actually useful. And so today we're going to talk about AI, content creation, growing online, and of course, the latest Squarespace updates. And do you love them or do you hate them? Let's find out. Dave, it's awesome to have you on the show, mate.
Nick, I am honored to be here, and I love what you guys are doing with SquareKicker. So this is very much an honor, and I am excited to chat with you.
Cool. Very cool. I'm excited too. I think the first time we met, I actually already knew who you were because I've stalked your profile. I think I've seen you some stuff online. Like, oh, this Dave Alex guy is a big deal. I can't believe we get to meet him. And so yeah, it's an honor to be sitting in the room chatting with you today.
Which I do want to say this just because designers sometimes hop into watching this or they're learning. And I remember 10 years ago, before I got into this, I was a nobody. I had not built any sites, and I'd seen all these people building and doing. And the way you get here is just by doing the work and doing it over and over and over again, year through year. And then before you know it, you become that person. So that's even kind of a full circle moment for me to hear you say something like that, because I remember when I came in and I saw all these big profiles, quote unquote, where now we're here 10 years later. So it's exciting to be here.
Yeah. The imposter syndrome gets the better of us, doesn't it? It's great.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, everyone enters the industry in a unique way. I would love for you to share how your journey started with web design. Can you kind of give us a bit of a understanding of what that process for you then looked like a decade or however long ago it was?
Yeah, 100%. My story is very interesting. I went to college to study international business, did nothing with code. I barely learned code in high school. And so I had never planned to be a web developer, in any career sense. But then when I was about, I think 22 or 23 years old, I went on this trip to Southeast Asia for Christmas to go hang out with a lot of kids who had lost their parents to an orphanage. And I fell in love with the kids, and I wanted to do whatever I could when I got back home to help and support them. And so one of the ways to do that was to build a sponsorship program for them. And so how do you do that? Through a website. And that was my first steps into building a site. I used 2 or 3 different platforms over the course of the next 2 years, and finally landed on Squarespace, which then became this whole new world for me of wow, I built a website without coding and was able to get these kids in a position to be sponsored and open up new doors for them long term to have a different kind of life and future, which changed so much for me. But it was also another 2 or 3 years later where I actually said, maybe I could be a freelancer. So I was probably 26 or 27 when I quit my full-time job, which I don't recommend that. I quit my full-time job and then tried to be a freelancer. For 4 months, I tried with my friend to land website projects. Oddly or surprisingly, we couldn't land any. Not one inquiry or project or anything happened for 4 or 5 months. Then I tried on my own for another 4 months, and then I finally landed my first project, which we could talk more about if we want to get into those details. But I landed my first project, and since then I've never not had work. And we're talking about that was 8 years ago or so. Yeah, that's 9 years ago now when that happened. And We're at 250 plus websites. We've done over 1,000 SEO projects as well on Squarespace websites. Spoken at Circle Day, written articles for the Circle blog, the Squarespace blog, and then created over 400 tutorials on YouTube
Wow.
about Squarespace.
So you're like, we're sitting in the presence of a Squarespace guru, is what you're trying to say. It's been a long journey.
It has been a
Um,
long journey, definitely.
yeah, and so Launch Happy, your business is called.
Mhm.
How many people on your team, or what does your team look like? What's that such a setup look like now?
Yeah, currently it is basically outside of myself, SEO lead, let's say a project manager, and and another like maybe say assistant who help lead the
Mm,
projects and move everything forward in the workflow. Um, I also would say there's like the content side. So there's like video editing, content writers, and other
mm,
things. But in the core aspect of the SEO services, that's the core of how we operate. The assistant also is like a beginning Squarespace expert as well. So they're able to really take any of the, say elements we have and scale them out or build them out as well. So if there's like edits, revisions, quick changes, things like that, they can help with that, as well as me maybe guiding the ship on a bigger project design wise, look and
mm.
feel, tools we're using, code, or any of that.
Yeah, awesome. And when did you actually start growing a team? Because obviously you didn't just come out of the door with just a team, right? Or did you?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't. It was in 2019, so just about 6 years ago, where basically what happened was at that time, and some other Squarespace designers will know this kind of like transition and what happened, but I was one of the first designers that was brought onto the 99 Designs
Mm,
and Squarespace marketplace. So I remember conversations with the 99 Designs team before it even launched, getting ready to launch. I think it launched in January or like December of 2019. I think that's when it was. And being one of the first on there, and then they started to really push it and promote it. And so by March of that year, the number of new inquiries I was getting was way bigger than I had ever
mm,
seen. And I had a decision to make. I said I could kind of treat this passively, or I could go all in on this. And at that time, I decided at the end of March, I'm going to go all in on this. And my goal was if in April I hit a certain financial number, which we'll chat about right now too, because I'm very open about all this stuff. I think my goal was 30K for April. Now, I was doing around 8 to 10 a month, give or take the month, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, about $100,000 a year in revenue. But I just wanted to push for something new. And so for April, I just put my sights to really do the best I could on every single inquiry. If they needed a project quick, I'd do it. If they needed a project, like a big project, whatever, if they wanted to do a call, I made myself fully available to the work. Literally the most unhealthy time of my life. But I was sitting in front of my computer and at my desk for almost the whole day, late nights, early mornings
mm.
for this next like 30 to 45 days. Lo and behold, by the end of that month, I end up landing somewhere around like 40 something thousand dollars worth of work. It was like
Wow.
$46,000 worth of work,
And
which
very tired.
was, yeah, 100%. And like, I think it was actually like a little bit higher than that, but with some like refunds or projects that got canceled or whatever, it ended up being about $46,000 worth of work landed.
Crazy.
That radically changed my life and direction, everything. And that's when I hired my first designer, which his name was actually Nick as well. He
Great
lives on
name.
the East Coast. Yeah, it's a great name. He lives on the East Coast in America. And now he designs a bunch of Squarespace websites. I think he also does Webflow as well and some other stuff, which is so cool. But we got to work together for the next few months. And then that's when I really started building a team and going back and forth. Now, I want to kind of pivot. It was hard. Growing a team was not, I didn't understand how to do it, train, equip, give good instruction. There was a lot there. And so there's kind of two levels of of learning this, which was how to actually hire well and then how to actually equip who you hire well. So for the first year and a half, that was a little bit difficult. 2020 happens, the world shuts down. Then from there, I say, what do I want to build? Because I was trying to hire designers, but it's hard because then you have different levels of experience, especially for design. If you're an expert designer trying to hire, you kind of get put in this like situation where it's like, well, if I do the work, I'm faster and quicker, but then I have
Hmm.
them do it, but it's not going to be at the par of what I'm being paid. There's a lot there that needs to get navigated. So I said, what if we do this SEO thing full on, especially with the
Hmm.
world shut down? And that's where we started the SEO agency. And that was way easier to train, teach, and give like clear instruction with than the design side. And then we built the full team from there. I used Notion as our hub in 2020 to create our projects, our templates, everything we did, like and communicated with every single project internally was through Notion. And we still use the craziest part. I built that system over a day or two. We still use that same system today. It's advanced, improved, but generally it is the exact same system we use today, 5 years later.
Yeah. I'm really interested on this pivoting point because I feel like a lot of listeners and a lot of people I've talked to on Squarespace are solopreneurs, they're freelancers, and maybe they like that because they don't want to be any bigger because that's the lifestyle they created. But maybe they are thinking about, should I hire someone? Should I just contract? What does that look like for me? What would you say has been your experience when you said this moment has changed your life? Why was this decision to going to hire and expand a team? What did that do for you and your business? What was different about that than just being a freelancer, just kind of making money and by yourself?
This is good. This is really good. There's kind of two approaches I would take to this, especially in the AI world. So we're kind of
Okay.
maybe veering into some next questions we'll talk about. But in today's world, what you get hired for is different than what we used to get hired for even 3, 4 years ago. So we could chat more about that and why I think it's important for everybody to consider it.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
in terms of hiring and what that did for me, and and honestly, my sanity, that's probably the thing that mattered the
Mm,
most. At one point was just like getting clear on the team and having peace and going to sleep at a normal time and waking up at a normal time. Um, Building a team is kind of there are a few key benefits. One of them is you're empowering other people and equipping them. Most of the people on my team are mothers
mhm,
who work when it works best for them.
mhm,
And I love that because they
mm,
work hard, they get it done. But at the same time, if they need to go like feed their baby, drive someone to school, whatever, they can do that. I don't care as long as deadlines are met. That's really how we work, and keep it as clear as possible, communicate well. That's all. Uh, but learning how to hire and then seeing that benefit wasn't something I knew would come. So in that process, I think growing a team, one thing that's like the two things that scared me the most when I got started, one of them was paying. I just didn't know if I could pay someone consistently month after month. So start small. That would be my recommendation. Don't overthink it or don't overpromise. You don't have to start paying someone $3, 4, $5,000 a month to get started. If you've never hired someone before, maybe go to one of the virtual assistant company like websites and go hire someone for $500 a month to do a few tasks. Learn how to work with them. Get comfortable working with them. Get comfortable with like the feedback, the timeline, the process, the SOPs you need to create, all of that stuff. Start working through that because that alone, and Nick, you could probably speak to this as well. That alone is going to
mm,
take a lot of energy that you might not even know is going to be needed in the process.
mhm,
And it also removes this heavy burden of like having to hire someone. I think one thing that was very scary as well was like hiring and then firing someone that I had
mm,
brought on. When you work with one of these companies, you do have like managers and leaders where you could just say, "Hey, I'm working with this person. They're awesome, but it's not really working the way I would like for my company. And so can we maybe test out another person?" And they're very flexible, quick to do that, switch it out. I've actually found some of the best people I've worked with in ththose kind of iterations of being
interesting.
able to go through quickly and find like, oh no, this person understands the goal, what we're doing. They don't have a great depth of SEO, but they understand what the purpose of this is. And so they're able to talk to the client well and work through things well.
Mm,
And then at the same time, it is, I mean, I could talk about this for a while because there's so many layers to this that had to get uncovered for me. I was not good at managing people. And then growing into that took
mm,
its own process. And I still think I'm growing into that with the video editors I work with right now and the team I'm building around content creation and digital products and that side of it overall. But I recommend anybody hire. If you're making over, I mean, it depends on where you live and all that, but if you're making over a few $1,000s a month, hire someone for $500 a month just to get the feel of what that looks like. They might not take over your whole schedule and all your emails, but if they take over aspects of your life and your work, it frees you up to do other things that can help you grow, build, and scale whatever you're looking to build. And even
mm,
if you're not looking, last thing I'll say, even if you're not looking to scale, you're happy with where you're at, you are empowering other people and
mm,
building support for things that you're carrying on your own. It
mm,
really is nice to know someone else is there to help you. Maybe you're sick for a few days, maybe something comes up, maybe you just do need some freedom from your email. You want to be able to travel. This year, okay, I just got back last week. I left the country for 6 weeks, and then before that, I was here for a month, and then before that, I left for 2 weeks, and the freedom to completely do that at any time is based on this kind of arrangement with my video editors, my team, also the work I do, but there's a lot of flexibility,
mm.
within that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think you just touched on something fascinating. Is I went into freelancing because I wanted to have my own flexibility, my own freedom, work when I want, and yeah, be a freelancer, be self-employed, work whenever you want, whenever you want, and then essentially you just work all the time because that's the only time you can work. And be able to kind of step away from that felt almost impossible because you always had this
Yep.
demand. If I step away, no one else can do the things because the deadlines won't get done. And any day that you're not working essentially is day money is not coming in. So that was always a challenge. And for me, I can relate in a lot of ways. Hiring someone, is scary, and you never know when the right time is. And sometimes there's never a right way. But I also love that you said providing opportunities for other people to also have jobs is a unique privilege. I think that's what, there's some people who don't want to do the hustle of finding work, but they're happy just to do the work and maybe they do it better than you. And now you have someone on your team can do that really well. I also want to touch and move away a little bit from the hiring bit because I think we can make this whole show about hiring, but I don't want it to. But we'll move on. You mentioned AI, and like I know you've dabbled with AI and you've embraced it. You're not one of the
Yep.
people. This apocalypse is coming, and we're all going to be taken over by robots. But there's no denying that AI has changed so many aspects of the way we work. Maybe if we go outside, we don't notice things have changed, like, but
Mm,
way we
true.
work every day in, day out, sometimes for the better, sometimes not. From your point of view and the way you've used it, it's showing up in your workflow and your content creation. How has it changed your side of the business?
Yeah, I love this because there are kind of there are different ways to approach this. One way to talk about this, first of all, is to say something like what you said. Yeah, the like there's some stuff out there that like in the next few years this could get really scary fast. That's its own thing. We could that's a more like meta conversation. In terms of AI and replacing, I want to talk about designers and
Mm,
AI. That for
yeah.
me, I think is where there's a lot to pull from. So when I started 8 years ago, I was hired because there were resources online for Squarespace, but not enough to answer all the questions that people actually had. And there were people who had more money than they had time, or more money than they had patience to learn it. There weren't a lot of code solutions available. There were some, but then you were scouring the forum, copying and pasting stuff that did work, didn't work, might have worked. There was a lot there. And so people would hire me for stuff that you just don't hire for anymore because there's different solutions, resources, free resources out there that you can pull from that give you so much more. At the same time, with what Squarespace is doing, what every major company is doing with AI is I don't think we're being hired for the same things we're being hired for. And this is really, really important because how you position yourself is how a client is going to end up working with you. And if you just say you are a Squarespace designer, maybe at the front end, that's a nice entry point, but it does take another level of depth. I think that's really important to consider is that you are the best at strategy. So AI can tell you what to build, what to add, what to put. It'll give you a lot of thoughts,
Mm.
but as a professional, you'll say what is core and essential for your website. Okay, so it's cool to have a homepage, about page, all of this stuff, but you'll know exactly what to put where that will define the right key points to take someone from a user or a visitor on a website to a customer, client, prospect, whatever that next step is for them to take action. And this is where the value is, I think, for people who need a site designed. They're looking for that side of it because AI can do a lot, design can do a lot, Squarespace could do a lot. Like there's a lot out there that can be done really easily and fast with AI or other types of tools. Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, you still will design a website, but I just think the value proposition of that is a lot different than what it was maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And then what happens there is my next like kind of like thought experiment is then push into, well, what's coming next that's going to replace some type of value that I have now that I want to prep myself for, which is where I think really content creation is key for every designer.
Mhm.
It's not an option to have a brand because we can get into this. I'm going to just like kind of say it high level real quick, but I think the content creation side is really essential for any kind of designer. Even what we're doing right now for SquareKicker, I think is so essential for building out the brand and this kind of moat or intellectual property, whatever you want to call it, that is going to be a differentiator between any other just kind of tool or generic thing out
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. I'm interested when you said that AI has maybe taken over some of the things that you would have ordinarily been hired for. Can you give an example what those things are? Because I can understand exactly what you mean. Designers are all, we're not going to be replaced. AI is not going to take our jobs, but some of the jobs that we were doing aren't needed. But then now we have these other jobs that we will always be able to do. But what are the jobs that maybe you say people aren't needing you to do anymore? What are they?
Yeah, I'll clarify a little bit too, just because some of it's just technology advancement, new resources, things like that with AI. So I think both of those. So I would say 8 years ago when I got hired, some like say, let's start with like branding. Fonts and colors were really hard to coordinate within Squarespace. Now, before they had this 5 color option, and even that is a little bit, but before they had that, it took a lot of work to make a site feel consistent. You
Mm,
had to go through a lot of color modules to make sure everything was on brand. There was no preset.
mm,
So that took a lot more work that now is not there.
mm,
Also, with the set like styles, or I'm forgetting, save sections, not
mhm,
just any kind of pre-built sections. Personally, I don't use Squarespace's pre-built sections. I have my own,
mhm.
but those really offer a lot of options for you to
Yep.
build a site fast where you just didn't have that before with Squarespace. So there was a lot of work there that took a lot of energy. Even like Google Fonts 6, 7
Mm,
years ago, maybe it existed, but it wasn't as robust and
mm,
powerful as it is today. Knowing how to pair fonts, find the right fonts, all of that stuff. It did take a lot of, let's say, work and understanding and depth of those fields to be able to pull out really good stuff. Now it's a lot easier to do that. That has nothing to necessarily do with AI, but it is part of this shift because now with like Squarespace Blueprint, you get all those features now. So it's the combination of that. I think when it comes to a basic site structure, um, Squarespace Blueprint or any kind of AI is going to tell you what you need: home, about, services, contact. But to really know how to drive someone and make
mm.
every section purposeful, that still is on the designer. That's
Yep.
still on the expert. But creating the initial sections, building stuff out, I think most of the stuff I deliver to a client when they're paying 5, 10, $15,000 on Squarespace, it is not like it's so custom. It's more so just the fact that it is thought through, it's clear, and it is the goal that the customer wants their users to get to.
Mm,
And that is kind of the separation. And I think even more so in the next few years, building sections is going to be easier and faster and quicker. Even with, I think, like the new like Squarespace Pros, the one feature I love the most is like save sections across sites, because honestly, the way you could incorporate a section you love on
mm,
any brand with one click, there's no other tool that does that. I'm not
pretty
a big
cool.
fan of other pieces. We could talk about that, but that
We'll
one
get there.
is like, yeah, let's get there. Because I think if you go to any other tool, Webflow, Framer, Wix, I don't know, any other tool you think of, there's no
Mm,
tool out there that does that with
interesting.
the power that you want. So if you are a professional designer and you want to productize your service, you could build out 20 to 30 core sections that you already love, spend the time to master it on Fluid Engine, get all the right feel, get everything exactly as you want, get them as safe sections, and then from there, you could use that across any site,
Mm.
build sites quickly. There's a lot you could do there really, really fast.
Mm, that's that's you're right when you say not any other platform allows you to kind of do that speed of development, because I think you're right. Like even I've built other website platforms as well before SquareKicker. I was primarily Squarespace, Shopify. You can't do that in Shopify. Like the themes are so incompatible that nothing works with each other. So you're basically stuck with a theme, and if you want a new theme, well, you start over. And I think that's quite interesting, and which makes a plug for where Squarespace templates quite interesting. When you
Mhm.
get a Squarespace template, it just works on any website because they're compatible with each other. So when you're working on your own websites or your own template making, or even if you buy a template, like what you said earlier about how a website isn't necessarily just a pretty design, isn't about a page. It's actually
Mm.
how do you funnel people towards a call to action that's unique to your brand, your product, your service, your delivery. AI can give you some suggestions, but it's not going to really understand your exact outcomes. And I mean, maybe someday, but right now, you're never going to be okay. They need this one headline, which is going to allow them to go to this call to action, which is going to allow them to get to your goals, which is this product offering. That's a really strategic way to do that, and to do that in mind of the design layout, the SEO choices you use, and also like the goals of the website. There's all too many things I think a human needs to be involved. And so I think I love about the modular aspect of Squarespace. And this is why I think the template engines that we allow creators to make, they're kind of pre-built websites, but they're not really aimed to pick up and paste on a site and change your colors. They're actually modular because each one of those pages and sections are removable and add that's like a designer kit that when in the hands of even a designer, you can take this pre-built section and it goes best here, but then you need another one here. But if your product, we need this one over here. So you're still in control of the layout, the design, the choice, the flow, because it's all modular and you can put in there. So if you create your own or buy another one, you're actually in control of how you decide that website needs to function. And I think AI is a long way. I don't think it's ever going to get there to actually be able to craft that kind of experience for a brand.
I'm with you, and I'm so with you. That's another reason I really love SquareKicker, have used it on a lot of sites. It has allowed so much functionality. I know this is like kind of like me pitching. You didn't ask me for this, but I do want to say is when it comes to the things that help me differentiate, once I've built out these sections, offered it to a client to help me differentiate to the next level for that client, what they need specifically, light, subtle animations,
Mm,
movements that make sense for the brand, design tweaks that make sense for the brand. It has been something that has been
mm,
so cool for me to look more, to make Squarespace look more professional without having
yeah.
to touch code.
Yeah. And the really fun thing is, I'm sure you maybe already know this, but that we've actually introduced those saved customizations, et cetera, into a save section. So if you save it if you have a designer account, if you save those sections, you can actually move those sections across to a different account, and all those saved SquareKicker customizations will also come with you now. So it's like, it's next level. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah,
any
yeah.
other
It's
custom
amazing.
code that you, copy and paste the right
Yeah,
CSS and JavaScript. No, no,
yeah.
no. If you save a section and it had customizations on it, they're going to come with you to your next website. And that's
Wow.
just, it's crazy to think about like how that even works. And the team has put something together super cool to now that to make that actually happen. So it's pretty fun.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I gotta try that out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It just works. I guess the funny part is just you save it and then it's there and it works. Like, oh, cool. All this stuff I saved over here that took me hours is now just working on my next website. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. um, do you think that AI is maybe raising the bar of some of the designers? Because I think some of the people can just prompt a website into existence, and now they can't just rely on just smashing together an easy thing, or is it kind of muddying the waters a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know, and I would love your thoughts on this
Mm,
too. I don't know if there's any crazy advancement with AI I've seen with
mhm,
website design.
mm,
Even like again, like the best tools out there, like Reloom for designing like wireframes and building out a site before you take it to an actual development phase. It's cool, but it doesn't feel life-changing in terms of like, wow, website design has gone easier. If
mm,
anything, it's added layers of options that
mm,
feel, okay, maybe it could help me think through some stuff. I don't know. I have reviewed some of the best. I'll very much use air quotes on that. Some of the best, like prompt based or conversation based website builders out there. Um, I'm not as much of a fan in that side of it as much as if you get into building software. That side of it, I'm very interested in. I've built a ton of apps with like Replit or other tools like that. But in terms of website development, I really haven't seen anything. And I've tried a lot of these tools. For the YouTube channel, I get hit up for a lot of sponsorships from different brands. Tried a lot of tools. As of today, nothing has been like, wow, that is it. And I'm going to publish it. And I actually would publish that for a client. Maybe that's a better way to say it. There are clients who could see it and be like, yeah, that works. And if they showed it to me, I'd be like, yeah, that works. But anything that's like phenomenal of like, wow, this experience leaves me feeling more intrigued to keep
mm,
scrolling and engaging with the site. I haven't seen it.
mm.
I just haven't seen it. There's been AI features I like on some platforms, but not AI builders that have really taken anything inside of me that have been like, oh, wow, this really is amazing.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's cool to see what AI can help you create, but also I think maybe it's gotten to a degree that sometimes we just become lazier because we don't have to engage our brain. Like, we want to create this cool thing. So like, hey, can you just make a thing that looks cool? And then you essentially get that and use it and don't really think much more about it. But I just think AI is potentially in its best when you bring the creativity and it does the work for you faster
Mm,
rather than actually
yes.
you give me the creativity because it doesn't know creativity. It just uses
Yeah.
other things it knows. But if you bring you bring the creativity and the thinking and it does the work for you. I think it's the best way I've seen designers engage with AI to make that workflow better.
So let's hit on that because that to me is so important. What you just said, Nick, is that's how then you need to think about positioning yourself
Mm,
when clients are finding your website. It's not just that I could build a Squarespace site. It's that I could do all the thinking and strategy for you to have the most creative, beautiful site that best fits your needs to accomplish the goals of the business. That is totally different language than saying anything about just being like, I'm a Squarespace expert. That's a starting point. But to get into the depth of it, to know all the best tools, resources, and things to bring out, it's just like an artist. I think like the artist's skill set is not in the pens or the whatever paintbrush or the colors. It's in how they use those elements to bring to life a
mm,
piece of art.
mhm,
And that's where I think AI, just like you said, is really, really powerful if used in these ways to then bring out this piece of art that you are trying to convey for the customer. And honestly, like there's probably one of my best projects and the one I've been paid the most for. uh, is one of the most beautiful website experiences. It's not on Squarespace, but the amount of time we took on every little detail and the creative input of thinking like, hey, this is an interior design firm, and the way they present this can really match the process that they use with a client in real life. It's like, okay, let's use that to our advantage with technology and
Mm,
build out the components in a way that allow it to really look and feel amazing. So you do see a transformation from a sketch to a final image as the images fade through
mm.
of this house that came to life, as they design the entire like interior of the home.
So Squarespace have just dropped some things that they're making, and I think it's not private anymore. They've shouted it from the rooftops. They've
Hmm.
put on press releases. So they're making these pro tools now, which
Yeah.
the things you just discussed about some of the animations that maybe weren't possible might even be possible now. I don't know. And then some of the things we have got cooking in the oven at SquareKicker might even take that to the next level. I don't know. So let's just think about Squarespace for a moment. Um, what they've been building is is pretty exciting. I'm excited about it. I think a lot of other users are excited about it. I think they're really pushing for more pro tools because they want to see more pro users not have to leave the platform to go build it elsewhere because they want to keep them like what are you missing that you can't have here without custom code or something like SquareKicker plugins? What would you have in house that you would help you to design those sites? Squarespace updates. How are we feeling about them? What's your take on it?
My thoughts right now. I love Squarespace for pros. I think the direction is really interesting. The I do have mixed feelings. I'm right in the middle about it. What I mentioned earlier about saved sections, that is phenomenal technology that I really believe is a differentiator between every other brand. That's something that I think 80-90% of businesses out there, that is the value they need. They don't need more. I think some people get caught up on like, I need fancy animations and all these cool things. I even went to a website today. Somebody hit me up for a potential sponsorship for like a health organization based on one of my videos. And I go to their website and I feel they're trying too much.
Mm,
I don't know how to else to say it. They're trying to be something they're not yet, but it's not fully there, and I could just tell. And not even just because I'm a website designer, I've been doing it for a while. It's like I just feel that it's not fully there. The business isn't there because websites are often an expression of the clarity and the depth of the business. So in terms of that, just kind of as a tangent, most businesses are going to do great on Squarespace. I think so something like Save Sections, I love. I think the Squarespace for Pros is awesome, and it also confuses me. Why does it confuse me? It confuses me because the point of Squarespace is that it is simple. I have loved using it for clients and giving it to clients, knowing that the damage they do is very minimal if they just go running.
mhm,
Right now, it's very hard to tell, I think, with the direction they're headed, what that's like leading to. What I mean is the amount of stuff a client can do on the side accidentally has just scaled dramatically
mm,
with these types of features. And the features don't feel, if I'm honest, they just feel like they're like what's it called? Like emulating Framer in Squarespace. I don't know. The layers panel I think is cool. I think it offers a cool benefit. I think the hide stuff on desktop and mobile and that experience it's a cool feature, but I don't feel it really expresses Squarespace the way Squarespace has always expressed itself. I'm mixed. I'm very, very, very much so mixed on this. I think some of it is like it's starting to look more like Wix in that way. I would prefer to use advanced features like that through a tool like yours versus in the tool
mm,
itself, where the client then feels that that's all available to the client as well. And maybe there's something there I don't understand that's like hidden from the client or something, but still, there's an element there of where it's going that is really, really complex, yet trying to stay basic, yet It's not. If you add in all that stuff, there's so many new options that it has taken a new level.
Yeah.
Those are my initial ideas around it right now.
I love this conversation because I love hearing different people's point of views on it. And something that you mentioned that I think a lot of people share, especially designers, is great. These tools will be awesome for my toolkit, but can we never show these to my client so they can't break the website? Is there a way to like lock down the certain features so they can only do certain things? Like that's been a request that we get. Can you somehow block my client from like doing stuff on their Squarespace website? Because I don't want to give them everything, but website editor access, content creator is not enough, but yet you give them admin, and it's all of a sudden blown out to they deleted a section or a block or they moved it and then they just broke everything. Like I get that feeling. I'm interested in knowing what it will feel like when we actually get it in our hands because right now
Hmm.
it's been shown. It's been I think the team did a great job showcasing it and wowing us to say what's possible. I don't know if I think even they were like surprised, like, oh, what can we actually do with this? And they were surprised to see what's possible. I don't know how many designers are really going to have the creativity that they have to pull off some of those designs, but I'm interested to seeing more creativity come out because some creators do have that creativity. But the thing I've learned about SquareKicker is that it's not like a one click make something happen. I think there's something different about plugins or one click trick ponies that you can kind of make a thing happen. But giving people creative tools is not for everyone. I think we learned that pretty
Hmm.
quickly. In the hands of a
Yeah.
DIY designer, a tool like SquareKicker makes ugly websites because they don't know how to use it. You get all sorts of crazy whacked out stuff happening, things flying everywhere and every button possible, scaling. I'm like, oh, just less is more. Like you don't have to throw everything at a website. And so it'll be interesting to see if it will make websites more creative or just generally worse because people are trying to smash animations on a website when they don't have the ability to design creativity well. Interested.
Exactly, exactly. Fundamentally, I would say the approach that Squarespace has taken over the last 20 years or whatever, this doesn't feel in line with that. That's just like my take on it. It feels a little bit more, and I say this very like respectfully, but it just feels more like a business play of how we could earn more dollars than an actual fundamental help for Squarespace designers. This is why. If you wanna help designers, I think the thing that would be way more profitable in 2025 going into 2026 and the future is something that allows you to control, manipulate, manage CMSs better. I'm like, that's the you can make it look really pretty, but if you still can't build a solid portfolio with the core features and sections and then make it searchable. I'm not like, and that's not like something I'm harping on, like that needs to be fixed for this, that. I don't care, but in my head, it's kind of like the CMS structure could do way better. There could be so
Mm,
many more advancements there that offer like even organizing content. I know there's like summary blocks, but taking that to a whole new level of how you could engage with your content, products, services, all of that for the ideal user on your site, when they land on your site, what they've purchased before, all of that. Like you could customize that because you already have all that data. You could customize that way more. That would make me way happier and excited to share Squarespace with future customers or business owners than I have a layers panel now. I'm sorry. It's like the layers panel is really cool. Maybe adding a few animations is cool. But again, I would prefer SquareKicker and then just telling my client, don't touch that. Like one thing versus this now feels it's part of every aspect of
uh-huh,
it,
uh-huh.
um, which is a little bit harder to navigate
Yeah.
navigate through.
I mean, maybe Squarespace is listening to this right now and they've heard it here first. And Circle Day 2026, there's this new sophisticated CMS that comes out. I mean, you've heard it here first, folks.
There it is. There it is. That would be amazing. I would love that. Love that. Love that. Yes.
Um, Looking ahead a little bit into 2026, thinking about the trends, AI, platforms, what do you think designers need to be paying attention to for 2026? There's something that you kind of like peaks the top of your mind?
I mean, I think I think it's important for designers to know how to position themselves, and if they don't, that's gonna lead to a lot of frustration.
What do
I
you mean by
mentioned
that?
earlier.
Like, can you give some tips
Yeah,
or examples of what that looks like?
totally, yeah, I think, I have been very fortunate, and this is just kind of like my character. It wasn't like I knew what to do, but I've been very fortunate to step into some different arenas at the right time in the right place. So when I started, I tried Google Ads, and that's what actually got me my first clients and then consistently got me clients. But soon thereafter, that dried up. Then at a certain point, I was working with like SEO and trying to build that out. I learned a lot, got better at it, started showing up in search results. So if you typed in Squarespace website designer, not just the Google ad, but my website would start to show up. And then I started building tools, or sorry, landing pages around specific problems people had. So like Squarespace custom code. If somebody was searching that, my page would show up, or Squarespace like monthly retainers or things like that. I would just really start to build out different aspects of offerings and things at the right time. How do I know what's going to work? You don't. Some of the stuff I built didn't land any clients, any money, anything. But at the same time, some did really well. And so building into that, then in 2019, the 99 Designs Marketplace, going really hard into that. And then I would say around 2020 and 2021 is when I started the YouTube channel and then went really hard into that. Those different aspects have offered me new areas and arenas of, let's say, untapped market and space to reach people, build content, build trust, build my business through those different avenues that I just never would have imagined. My business today is actually very little website design. I actually do mostly videos, scripts, YouTube content, and that's the core of my business. I'm reviewing a lot more software for small and medium sized businesses, giving them thoughts, feedback, why they should use this tool versus another tool, that type of thing. And that wasn't planned, but it's now paying me much more than I expected or ever would have thought with an audience size of about 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. And it's all just kind of the positioning and getting out there. That's why, so all of that said, I think content and getting yourself out there in different avenues and places. Like, for example, right now, a great place to be, I don't know if it's a business result, but a great place to be is Threads. Threads, if you post there daily and maybe even multiple times a day, you will get in front of a lot of people. And potentially that could be a great thing for your business. You could grow a huge audience there. The organic factor is very, very like it works really well versus like X or LinkedIn or some other tools. You could get out in front of a lot of people quickly on Threads, just start posting daily for a while, and then the algorithm will start to pick you up, where other tools might be a little harder, right? Like Instagram might be a little harder. So those are some things I would say is like, you just, I don't know what's coming next, but I would always try to find something I could just test and like put myself out there, and see how I could potentially, if I position myself there first, maybe I could be one of the leading people in that marketplace, that SEO space, whatever it is, whatever the tool is, and searching in that tool that allows a lot of people to find me.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think that's great advice. Positioning yourself, that's something that we're always trying to do as well. Even looking into next year, like, okay, we
Mm,
want a template store, we have an extension, we're building some
mhm,
more things. What does it look like? How do we position ourselves in the market, potentially in a place that's not confusing, and like really niching down and understanding what you are and creating content around that that's going to help you promote who you are. And you're actually the first person I think I've ever heard of who's doubled down on Threads. I think it was a really interesting comment. Like, I've never even used Threads. I go in there like, oh, I'm so confused. It's like Twitter or X or something else. And I'm like, read a few things and I just don't know how to engage. And so I'm gone, but I'm glad it's working for someone. That's just, that's pretty cool. Hey, wanted to move into a recurring segment that we do with
mhm.
all of our guests. And the first one is about you and your website. And I'd love to you just share your screen if you've got something ready and just kind of walk through a little bit about what your website looks like and what your services look like and what your positioning, I guess, looks like as well.
Yes, 100%. Let me do this right now, and I'm gonna share with you 2 things. So, my site right now is on a different platform,
Yeah, no
Framer,
one's
and I
holding it against you. We all get it.
yeah, I know, don't be mad. Squarespace team, don't be mad at me. There we go. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so this is my website. As you could see here, this is like my personal dashboard of just anything around templates I've created, websites I've created, services I do, any of that type of stuff, high level, while all of it pushing mainly to my YouTube channel. And then my main product right now that I'm really putting all my energy into is building a clear system for other people,
Mm,
other creatives specifically, to be able to grow their presence on YouTube. I personally love YouTube because it is long format. And so you could get to know someone a lot better than short format.
yep.
And usually when people are watching short format, they're trying to be entertained really quickly, not learn. So it allows a lot more room for engaging, building relationship and growing. But anyway, this is my kind of like approach right now of like growing on YouTube and then building a business and different ways you could do that. Even build sponsorships and other types of things, especially if you love software and you like teaching. I personally love teaching. And so this is just I could do this all day, record videos, chat through them. But yeah, this is like my core focus right now that I just released about 20 or 30 days ago.
Cool. So it's
Uh,
quite fresh then.
it is, and all the video content is brand new as well, which I'm really excited about. I do wanna we talked about the website the big
Mm,
website that I built,
yeah.
and this is it. So I do wanna show you just a little bit of it right now. So this is my client here, John and Sherry. They're an amazing couple out of Seattle, but you'll see here some of this stuff is kind of the level of, like, depth that we wanted to give and bring a feel to. As you can see here, as the images come in, there's videos playing and all of that, the text fades out. Just a really, really unique experience um, overall. And then here's the section I was describing a little bit right now, where it kind of takes you through this 3-step process from an illustrative first step to then what does it look like to kind of start to really visualize what this is going to be like, and then the actual home that someone gets, which is really, really cool. This, let me go a little faster here. This part here is one of my favorites. Their projects are so beautiful and elegant. And so as you scroll through here, you'll see basically everything they
Mm,
have in terms of homes. This is with a custom CMS as well, that then you're able to navigate. My computer's loading a little slow. Um, but then let me just go into one of these. Then you get this full experience
right.
of
Okay.
this home
Cool.
uh, with all the rooms and things like that overall. So, yes, this was a interesting project. But my current website, davidalex.com, and then on there you'd be able to find
Right.
the YouTube growth kit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for sharing that. I especially love seeing websites, specifically when they're like, "Yeah, we had to make this somewhere else because SquareKicker or Squarespace couldn't do it." And I'm like looking at going, "Okay, what SquareKicker tool could you use for that? What SquareKicker
Mm,
tool do we need to make that happen? Can we do that? Oh, it's already in the pipelines. We just have to wait for that to come out, and then you could do that." So there's some. I love seeing those websites because it makes me think creatively how to provide people tools to let them not only just make that thing, but make it your own as
mm.
well. And so, I think for sharing that because inspiration to me as well. So that's cool.
Let's go. Let's go. That's awesome.
Cool. The next one is a design confession. So tell us about something that maybe didn't go to plan, a mistake or misstep, and the learnings that you grew about it. Maybe you can laugh about it now, but maybe at the time
Mm.
it wasn't so nice.
This might be a simple one, but it was definitely a profound lesson for me when I was building sites still at the beginning, not really a good designer yet, and still getting my bearings. Um, I remember I built a site pretty quickly, normal pace, nothing crazy. But then I had this really cool idea for the footer. And I had spent 20 hours like custom coding, fixing, figuring out, trying to get this cool, like just to feel really like nice in a certain way. I forget what was so important about it, but there was just like, I was trying to get a certain feel. And I spent 20 hours on it, and I remember sending it to a client,
On the
describing
footer.
it for the footer. I
That's
went through
insane.
no, I know. It was insane. At the time, it was just, apparently had a lot of time. I sent it to the client, and then one of the first things they said was like, "Oh, that's cool, but we don't want it." And it made me realize, because I had gone above and beyond. It wasn't necessary, but it was like a specific thing I thought would be cool. I had realized it's what I call like the 80% rule, right? Or like 80/20 type of thing, but I deliver at 80. And so what I'll do is I'll work, build something, get it to a certain level. And then when I share it with the client, I let them know this isn't finished, but this is generally the direction I'm going. And the powerful thing there is that most designers and experts can get to a really robust site pretty quickly, get something to 80% very fast. And that became my focus thereon after, which then saved me
Mm,
thousands of hours because I wasn't aiming for 100%. I was just aiming, let me get this built. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Let me go to the next thing.
yeah.
Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Let me go to the next thing. And then maybe later I go back and tweak it a little bit. But then I'm like, generally, this is where the site is headed. It doesn't need to be perfect. There's some missing stuff, but I'll communicate that to the client. I'll either do like a Zoom call or I'll record a Loom
Mm,
video, walk them through the site, but with that in mind and say, hey guys,
mm,
this isn't done, but I want to know if we're headed in the right
yeah,
direction,
that's
and then
really good
walking
advice.
through it.
Yeah, I mean, now you're a footerologist. You can kind of say these things. So every website you're like, I'm a footer expert. It's on the footer of my website now. I'll make you the best footer. What is it, 100,000 hours because you're world class? So you're getting close to the world class footer expert. But yeah, and I love that
There we go.
idea of getting something close enough that can kind of get you to the next step, and then you can go deeper as opposed to polishing it before you let the client see it because you're afraid they're not going to like it. But you actually can explain that process, so they're not freaked out. That's cool. That's great advice. Hey, last one. What is one thing outside of your work that helps you stay creative?
That's a good question. I mean, I am very heavily plugged into my church community, which is just a core aspect of my whole life. I think that could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but I think for me, the spiritual side of life is just as important, if not more important than every other aspect of life. And so my friends and family, seeing my cousins and being with family, spending time with my church community, growing with other people spiritually, that aspect of life, when I get back to work like today or any other day, it gives it way more meaning and purpose than just making money. Making money is great, and I love the opportunity it affords me. Even given like we didn't get into any of my personal background, but like my family came to America a year before I was born. And
Mm,
so the opportunity that afforded me from living in Egypt, it's just worlds different. And so I do enjoy the perks of it, and I'm thankful and grateful for it. I take responsibility for that as well. But at the same time, what really brings life to me at a certain point after you make enough money is, hey, there's deep meaning here in terms of what I'm able to do in my community with friends. Even going back to that first website I built for the kids at the orphanage is like I can now help them not just in the website, but financially or potentially a future website or other things like that in the future.
yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. I admire that about you. Just you bringing your kind of personality into your work, but also aren't afraid to kind of show who you are, and your spirituality and is quite important to you, and actually how that comes across. You've always been quite transparent in that. So that can be sometimes risky in businesses, like to mix that kind of that belief system into with your work. So I appreciate being always just been. Yeah, I appreciate and admire you about how you run your business so openly about who you are as well. So that's cool.
Well, could I just say this to you just as a last note?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I landed for YouTube content a $5,500 retainer. Uh,
Mm,
that client I showed you, one of the biggest projects I ever did, though they didn't hire me because of my faith, but they love the fact that I shared it. So sometimes we feel like we need to hide that side of it. I personally don't. I think it's actually afforded me more opportunity.
mm.
And so I just wanted to share that as like a little note on what you said. I really appreciate what you said. I don't take that lightly, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to even be able to share that because in
Mhm.
some countries you can't, some places you
Sure.
can't. Uh, but I'm so, so grateful for it. So yes, thank you as well for this time and being able to chat and
Yeah,
us
great.
going through this.
Is there anything before we finish up that you wanted to share, links or how to get in touch with you, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to get in touch, chat, maybe we said something, we talked about something that you have further questions on, you could email me at hello@davidalex.com. That is a great way to connect. And really and truly, I think this AI world we're in requires us to think more strategically as designers. So I highly recommend checking out the antiviral YouTube growth kit. That is my number one product right now. I'm putting all my energy into that over the next 12 to 18 months to really build a system that can see people grow from zero to what offers them the space and growth they need to be able to get in front of the right people, grow. Because it's not about numbers. And that's why it's called the antiviral. It's not about numbers as much as being in front of the right people over and over and over again. That can really do a lot. And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It's worth spending some time thinking strategically about that if you're trying to build your business.
David, it's been awesome hanging out and getting to know you better. I just really want to thank all of our listeners for hanging out with us as well, and for if listening to Looks Good From Here. Hope that you've enjoyed a little chat and look behind David's pixels to see a little bit more about him and the knowledge and wisdom of over a decade of experience into this community. It's been super invaluable time. If you want to find any of the links that we talked about, there'll be notes in the description below this as well. And don't forget to subscribe to find out more cool conversations like this with other cool creatives shaping what life looks like online. Thanks so much, Dave, for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much, Nick. I'll see you soon.
Cool. See ya.